Hello and welcome. You're watching India Global. I'm Gaurie Dwivedi. This is a show that gets you all the stories that matter from around the world. But first up, as always, we start with the headlines and the stories that we're tracking this hour. After Asim Munir, Pakistan Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif threatens India over the Indus Water Treaty. Enemy cannot snatch a single drop is Sharif's empty rhetoric against India. 2 days to go, all eyes on the Trump-Putin summit. In fact, Putin updates North Korea's Kim ahead of the meeting. Ukraine allies to discuss Putin meeting with Donald Trump in the next 24 hours. BSF launches Operation Alert along the Indo-Bangladesh border ahead of Independence Day, but also even as sensitivities remain as far as the Bangladesh-India border is concerned. Can't depend on dollars. That's the word coming in from the Brazilian President Lula as he slams Donald Trump. Lula takes on the US President and says BRICS should test a new currency. Will this expedite the de-dollarization that Donald Trump is fearing the most? We talk more on that. Call out the racists. Indians face growing attacks. Yet another Hindu temple has been defaced, this time in US's Indiana, where this is the fourth such case that is coming to light, even as we ask, why is it that there is a repeated pattern of these attacks coming in? Will there be more than just empty condemnations? Shehbaz Sharif is having a major FOMO moment or fear of missing out after America has been rolling the red carpet for Asim Munir. In fact, some would say America is actively laying the ground for Munir's eventual coup after the elected government has been rendered powerless and, well, pretty much sidelined. Donald Trump dined with a military chief and not with a civilian head of state. Now, what does the Sharif do now? He decides to then come out with his own rant against India, not to be left behind, after Asim Munir and Bilawal Bhutto. Now, Shehbaz Sharif, a man who is pretty much on borrowed time, decides to come up with some laughable threats. And as far as the facts are concerned, well, he's come out in terms of saying that Indus Water Treaty is something that not a drop of water can be taken away from Pakistan, even as India has very categorically said it will act, it has already done so and will continue to do so. In fact, even as we speak, there is no way that there can be any third party that can come in terms of either mediation or arbitration. This is a treaty in which India has now put it in abeyance, taken a call that it will not provide any more water to Pakistan. It has devastating consequences for the Pakistani economy. We'll talk about that in just a minute. We'll also try and connect with my colleague Shivarur in just a bit. But I believe we have the big questions first. Let's put that out. We'll get Syed Hatta Hasnain as well on it. And then we'll get you more details as well. All right, the big questions that we're putting out. Is this Sharif's way of staying relevant? As I said, he's having a major FOMO moment, and this could just be him wanting to be relevant in Pakistani politics. The second key question that we're asking is, does India have the ultimate leverage when it comes to Indus Water Treaty? These are empty threats that are going on and gone. It's a season of coming out with anti-India rhetoric in Pakistan, and that's what this is all about. And let's get to the third question. Do these threats hold any water? As I said, this is a treaty in which World Bank has also said that they will not take any action. They cannot take action because this is something that's a bilateral agreement. India has decided to put in abeyance. 80% of the water was going to Pakistan. It has stopped after the Pahalgam terror attack. And well, guess what? Asim Munir and his ilk, and that includes Bilawal Bhutto, Shehbaz Sharif, all of them cannot do anything. Let's get in General Hatta Hasnain for more on this. General Hasnain, always good to have you on the show, and thanks much for taking out the time and joining us on India Global. Let me start first by asking you in terms of the rhetoric that's coming out from the Pakistani side. First it was Asim Munir, then this was Bilawal Bhutto, now it is Shehbaz Sharif. How do you read it?
There is no doubt that at most times Pakistan's leaders, the deep state particularly, always loves to remain relevant in their own media, in their own internal, various issues, etc., each competing against the other from time to time. We are aware that there is a political coalition which is also in place, which will eventually be looking to find, different positions of different parties from time to time. But the main organization is always the Pakistan Army, which too has got many power bases within it. So Pakistan is a layered society. Layered political leadership, layered military leadership, layered societal aspects. So everyone has an opinion and everyone wants to act relevant in his own way. So from time to time, you will find these kind of statements coming out, and the favorite whipping boy seems to be India. And they love it. They love to, because they think that this is what gets them the eyeballs. In this particular case, it seems that the United States is their best friend. And obviously, they are kowtowing to the US sentiments and motives of the leadership there, not to the public as such, but to the leadership there. So therefore, everyone is in competition with each other to make these kind of statements. To my mind, these are best ignored.
Right. And, General Hassan, as we speak, we've talked about the kind of rant that comes out as far as Pakistan is concerned. Nothing new. But this also comes at a time when Donald Trump has been trying to mainstream Asim Munir.
Yes. Well, Asim Munir, let's take a little background check on this. Remember one thing, that the relationship of the United States and Pakistan has been very strong in the past, for the past 70, 75 years. Cento times. Then, of course, the 21 years when the United States was fighting a war in Afghanistan. From 80 to 88, 89, when Pakistan was the frontline state fighting the Soviet aggression inside Afghanistan. So for the better part of 30 to 40 years, it's always been the frontline state. Now, who in Pakistan has been the frontline element? It's primarily the Pakistan Army. And therefore, there's a special relationship between Pakistan Army officers and, may I say, the deep state in the United States itself. Therefore, whenever the United States would want to extract a strategic advantage in an awkward kind of a way, they would preferably not go so much to the political leadership in Pakistan as much as they would prefer to go to the military leadership. And they feel that they are the ones who can be sort of maneuvered, arm twisted from time to time. Many of their children are studying or living in the United States. Almost everyone in the senior leadership of Pakistan Army have their offsprings all in the United States. These are all linkages which the United States likes to draw upon and exploit. So obviously, Asim Munir is the favorite in this kind of situation.
Stay with us, General Hassan. Let me also rope in Shiv Arur, my colleague who's been, tracking the Pakistanis now for almost 2 decades. Shiv, you know how the Pakistanis think better than most, and they have nothing better to do than to come up with empty threats. It's almost like a competition. Shehbaz Sharif is having his FOMO moment. He doesn't want to be left behind. He isn't dining and whining with Donald Trump. He's trying to make up with these empty threats.
I completely agree with what General Hasnain said. There is a almost cartoonish sort of competition in Pakistan, to sound the bravest and most aggressive against India, because the kind of cultural domestic humiliation that has taken place courtesy Operation Sindoor, and I don't say this with any jingoism whatsoever, but to have your entire country militarily defeated, vanquished, paralyzed, has left the political space open open, for this kind of, catharsis within Pakistani politics. That's why you see Bilawal Bhutto, Asim Munir, Shehbaz Sharif, and everyone in between, issue these loud, saber-rattling warnings against India of war. The hilarious thing is they're talking about war if India steals a drop. The abeyance of the Indus Water Treaty has been on for what, 2.5 months now, Gaurie? So water in en masse has been taken from Pakistan or denied to Pakistan. So why have they not done anything yet? The second point, which I feel is a little bit more important, because Pakistan is a failed state. Pakistan is a country that has been internationally isolated before Operation Sindoor. But courtesy the actions of one man, that is Donald Trump, Pakistan has not only been facilitated, endorsed, approved, upheld, deals have been struck with them, they've been wined and dined, they've been called awesome, valuable anti-terror partners. I see that as a geopolitical green signal to carry on doing what you're doing. Whether it is the Uri border action team, terror attack last night, to the Kulgam encounter in which 2 soldiers were killed, to what happened in Riyasi, an attack on pilgrims on a bus. This is basically the Trump administration, the US government, giving Pakistan a blank check as far as business as usual. And business as usual for Pakistan is as a sponsor of terror. When you clink glasses with the very fountainhead of the forces that bleed India through instrumentalities of terror, you're basically saying there is no incentive for you to change anything. So if there's no incentive for Asim Munir to change anything, where will there ever be any incentive, for much smaller fry, powerless, figures like Shehbaz Sharif and Bilawal Bhutto to change anything at all? So I think that's where things really stand.
All right, we leave it there, Shiv. Thanks much for giving us that perspective. And in fact, General Hasnain, as we wrap things up, the final question I want to ask you is also with respect to what lies ahead, because this is a country which is talking about nuclear rant. This is a country which has a very unstable army chief, and then there is a political class which is almost, of course, dependent for its legitimacy on the army itself. How do you see this panning out over the course of the next 6 to 8 months, given the fluidity that exists right now?
Gaurie, one of the things I was doing this morning was to look at my past analyses of Asim Munir from the year 2022, 23, 24. And I was also looking at the year 2018 and seeing what exactly was Donald Trump's approach and attitude to Pakistan. Let me start from Donald Trump's 2018 attitude. On the 1st of January, Donald Trump tweeted saying, "We have spent $30 billion. We have provided $30 billion to this nation. For what? For the kind of terror that it has paid back to us." So is from then to now. The pendulum has swung. That pendulum can swing back at any time. There is no this kind of a relationship. At the moment, Donald Trump perceives, the United States perceives that it is in its strategic interest, primarily short-term interest, but in supporting Asim Munir and in Pakistan in general. The second aspect, Asim Munir, when I looked at my own assessment of him in 2022 end, I said, here is a man who was a deputy to General Bajwa at one time. I mean, not really his number 2, but he was serving under him. He served under him even when Bajwa was commanding the Kashmir Corps. And therefore, he wants to be his own man. He knows that one of the things that Bajwa was doing was the promotion of the so-called Bajwa doctrine, which essentially looked at peace, eventual peace with India. He felt that this is something against which, if he goes, perhaps he can make a huge difference. And that's exactly what Asim Munir is doing today. And I don't think he's going to hold back. Things happening, his own intention of continuing with what he was, the intention he came with, and the backing of the United States. The moment of the backing of the United States gets diluted to some extent, the shadow of the United States gets lifted from Pakistan, Pakistan will probably sit back and rethink its entire approach to the situation which is panning out against India.
All right, we leave it there. General Hasnain, thanks much for breaking that down for us on India Global. In fact, viewers, bottom line as far as this issue is concerned is that even the Pakistanis know that when they hit a dam, it's the downstream country that gets hit the most. They've said that they will actually hit a dam if at all India builds it as far as Indus is concerned. Now, in this case, it is Pakistan which is a downstream country, and they will face devastation if the dam gets impacted. But this is a country that also dreams of 250 grams of nuclear bombs. It's built on rant, it's built on hatred, it's built on hallucination. But let's be clear about one thing. Indus matters to Pakistan. It gets 80% of its water from this river, and most of its agriculture and economy are dependent on it. And the bottom line, viewers, is that this is a country that's deeply unstable, with a military chief who's trigger happy and has an urge to prove that he is worthy of the title, which is Field Marshal, that he has himself given himself. The question India needs to now watch out for is, are these empty threats from Asim Munir, or will he actually act on it? All right, turning attention now to the other story that we are tracking on the show, the disturbing pattern that is emerging across countries, particularly in America. Hindu temples that are being attacked, that are being targeted. 4 attacks have actually taken place targeting Hindu temples, anti-India graffiti, anti-Hindu slurs, provocative slogans by Khalistanis. This is the new normal in Trump's America. Why? Because American Hindu organizations have been the most law-abiding, successful, upwardly mobile class of citizens in America. They contribute to the success and growth of the country. The MAGA movement in Trump's America cannot be based on xenophobia, cannot be based on marginalizing, attacking, and othering the rest. That is what has happened. And Hindu organizations in America are absolutely legit in demanding more than just empty condemnations. How long will you have Khalistanis roam freely and target Hindu institutions, temples like this? We are playing out those several instances that have happened this year alone. As I said, 1 can be a stray instance, 4 is a pattern, a deadly pattern that needs to be addressed. And at the end of the day, Donald Trump can continue to rant. But if his administration is seen to be supporting such stray elements, such fringe elements, then that is something that could do a much longer and bigger impact and adverse impact as far as relations are concerned. Well, the security drill that is currently happening as far as India is concerned ahead of Independence Day in India, it is something that may seem to be regular, but that isn't the case. BSF is actually conducting operation to ensure that it's an Operation Alert that is conducting along the India-Bangladesh border. It will run from 10th of August to 16th of August. Focus will be on the key state of Meghalaya. Now, the security drill may be seen as part of SOP, Standard Operating Procedure, but Bangladesh has witnessed huge changes in the last 1 year. Since August 5th last year, when Sheikh Hasina fled, sought refuge in India, Mohammad Yunus has actually completed a year in office. It seems that the election schedule will be finalized only when the student councils have been given enough time to create a formidable political outfit that can actually fight and win elections. Until then, you will continue to see more tensions, more instability, more flux, more rabid Islamists being mainstreamed. That is the reason why this area continues to remain so tense and so volatile. And the other aspect to it, if we had that wall, if we had that map, we can put that out as well for viewers to understand. Mohammad Yunus spoke about chicken's neck. He said that this is where he will actually try and hit India, isolate it. Mohammad Yunus also wanted to partner with China, with Pakistan, and speak about how Bangladesh is at a unique position to actually target India's chicken neck, which is why monitoring this region is so very crucial. Besides that, a bunch of trade measures have also been taken by India to ensure that it is able to insulate itself from the India-Bangladesh relationship. And I believe there's more update coming in from Bangladesh, which is that Tulip Siddiqui's trial has also been started in Bangladesh. Testimonies have happened. Remember, these are people who are not in Bangladesh. But so a lot of what is actually happening is meant to address the underlying current that Mohammad Yunus and his government have actually fomented, which is to build that anti-Awami League hysteria in the country, and that requires for these trials to take place. Now, all of this is happening while Tulip Siddiqui is in the UK. She is a former British minister. She's Hasina's niece, and there are some cases related to corruption that are going on against her. But one also needs to keep in mind that this is exactly what shouldn't be consuming the government of Muhammad Yunus, and should be only a part of several other measures that he is taking. On that note, a quick break. We return with more stories on the other side. Stay with us. The other story on the show that's important, viewers, which is India's approval of construction of a 700 megawatt hydropower project that will take place in Arunachal Pradesh. Now, this project is expected to be completed in 6 years at a cost of little under $1 billion. Now, there is a significance to it, and this matters. This matters because of its location, because of its messaging, and because of the energy that it will create. 700 megawatts that will power not just Arunachal Pradesh, but also several other parts of India. And crucially, it's as I talked about the cost as well, it is the other important part is 33-kilometer roads that will be built, dual use, both for military as well as civilian purposes. It comes amidst China's construction of the world's largest dam in Brahmaputra River. China made that announcement that this will be that $170 billion mega dam, the world's largest, that will be in Tibet, very close to India. And this is New Delhi's response, a dam that will come up in the next 6 years in Arunachal Pradesh. Again, remember, India and China are beginning to recover from the nadir that their relationship saw post the Galwan conflict. But there is a sense of trust that continues to be in deficit, and these measures are important in that light. Turning attention now to the other story that we're tracking on the show. Well, Donald Trump's threats against BRIC nations have led once again to Brazilian President Lula to come back and say that, well, this is the time to talk about de-dollarization. He's spoken that there should be a BRICS currency. This isn't the first time he has said it. But remember, trade tensions between Donald Trump, between US and several other countries are probably at their highest in several years. India is not the only one. There's Brazil as well. So whoever wants to stand up for their country against the US, this is the kind of tariffs that they are meted out. What will a BRICS currency look like? Could that actually be the big game changer? Let's get in those answers from William Buter, who is an American-British economist joining us live on the broadcast. Sir, this isn't the first time we are hearing about de-dollarization or a BRICS currency, but the timing, many see, could actually be a first in terms of making sense.
I'm afraid that the concept of a BRIC currency remains extremely unlikely. At the moment, the largest BRIC currency in terms of its share of global reserves is the Chinese renminbi, or the yuan as it's called. And its share of global reserves was 2.2% in 2024. So it is certainly possible for countries in the BRIC group, say the 10 BRIC countries, to invoice their intra-BRIC trade in renminbi, trading goods and services. But that itself would remain a small share of the total trade of these countries, because each of the BRIC countries, of course, trades with non-BRIC countries as well. I'm afraid that the dollar, despite its very steady decline, still accounts for around 60% of global foreign exchange transactions, if we include the intra-euro area transactions. And this is not going to change as a result of Mr. Lula invoicing Brazilian imports from China in yuan.
All right. I'm afraid we'll have to leave it there, sir. Another day, we'll have a detailed conversation around What could that potential de-dollarization impact on the American economy be? And will Donald Trump actually have sleepless nights? That is a conversation we leave for another day. Thank you so much for joining me on India Global today. Well, viewers, with that, it's a wrap on the show. Thanks so much for watching.